Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. On behalf of GEIDCO, I will brief you on the Global Standard System Research 2018. My content includes the overview, current status of GEI standard, design of GEI standard system, key action areas. The first area is the view of the report. First of all, let me talk about this research is top-down and down combined. We start from the tech demand and drivers standard. We have categorized different scenarios and raised the overall architecture. We have inherited some standard, revised some standard, and formulated new standards. The construction principles include system, inheritance, openness, in three areas. System. What that means is that we will look at it systematically and incorporate multi-dimensions to make sure they're coordinated and comprehensive. Inheritance means we will inherit some standards and improve them. As a result, making new standard. Openness means it needs to be open, inclusive, and extensible, so that it can adapt to new changes. There are 4 tiers, 4 specialized directions, 13 technical fields, 47, and a number of specific standards and regulations. This time, our research on the standards are done in the following areas. First of all, we comprehensively looked at related fields in the standards and summarize standards we can inherit. Secondly, we also looked at the future needs and proposed standard that needs to be revised and formulated. Thirdly, we looked at the overall GEI standard and different key development phases to come up with standard roadmap. We also proposed key action areas and priority standards to be formulated. Through looking at the existing standards, we proposed standards that needs to be revised and reformulated. We come up with a comprehensive scientific system. This is a top-level architecture design. We have provided for standard-setting organizations, research institutions, manufacturers, construction parties, operation parties, work reference guide. Second part is the current status of GEI standard. If you look at the world, IEC are international standard setters. There are also regional standard-setting organizations in Europe, China, US, Japan, and many other standard-setting organizations and companies. Many of them have done a lot of work in ultra-high voltage, smart grid, and others. In total, 600 standards are set. On top of this foundation, GEIDCO carried its own research. At this stage, to speed up standard setting is very necessary, and it's because GEI is involved with clean energy development, grid connection, cross-national connectivity, large grid, smart grid, engineering design, and many other fields. As GEI speeds up its development, there are many breakthroughs in equipment. Current standards are not comprehensive and uncoordinated. Current standards are hard to meet the demand for equipment development and construction engineering. It's necessary to go through them in more details. We need to build a more comprehensive and scientific set of standards so that standard research, application, and construction have guides to follow. Next, the third area, the design of GEI standards. The GEI standard covers ultra-high voltage, smart grid, renewables, cross-national grids connection in 4 areas. Under the 4 area, we've set ultra-high voltage transmission and UHV transmission, VSC, UHDC, renewable power transmission, large power storage, smart transmission, distribution, dispatch, smart IoT, grid dispatch, market trading, and in total 13 technical 47 standards. Under every series, there are different specific standards. UHV and new type transmission is a key foundation to build GEI. They are UHV, they're VSC, HVDC, and new type power transmission. There's VSC, HVDC, DC power, superconductivity power, half wavelength power, GIL, in total 8 standards under the UHV and new type power transmission. Under UHV and new type, standards to be inherited revised are shown here on the map, on the slide. Standards to be revised in AC are the design standard, AC voltage, MVAR standards. Standards to be formulated are UHVAC power transmission, line electromagnetic environment, superconducting operation, etc. Smart grid. Smart grid is the foundation of GEI. It has 4 areas: smart power transmission, distribution, utilization, and power IoT. Smart substation, smart transmission, flexible distribution, flexible dispatch, efficiency, and need e-vehicle discharge, storage, in total 20 standard series. Smart grid standards to be inherited are shown here. Standards to be revised and standards to be formulated. To be formulated here are smart substation, smart e-vehicle charging and discharging, interaction with the grid, and power optical fiber sensing. Clean energy is the future dominant power source. And it has clean energy power generation equipment and system, grid connection, operation control, and the third one is large-scale energy storage. In total 3 categories. There are also hydropower, wind, PV, solar thermal, marine thermal, geothermal, grid connection, compliance test, clean energy cluster control, chemical energy storage, physical energy storage, large capacity hydro energy storage, in total 13 standard series. In clean energy, Standards to be inherited, to be revised, and to be formulated are shown here on the slide. To be formulated standards are smart, highly hydropower, wind power, photovoltaic power generation forecasting, clean energy cluster control, grid connection, electrochemical energy storage. Cross-border power grid connection is the core of GEI. Technical fields are categorized into three groups: power grid, protection, control, and dispatch and market transmission. Power grid planning, grid simulate protection, security, stability control, power grid dispatching, market transactions, in total 6 standard series. Standards to be inherited, revised, and formulated are shown here. Standards to be formulated include power grid stimulation, cross-country, cross-continent connection, relay protection, protection relay setting for cross-border power grid, wide area control and protection coordination, power dispatching common technology system. UHV, new type transmission, smart grid, clean energy, and cross-border power grid interconnection are 4 ERIC standards, and we proposed implementation. There are 3 milestones: 2025, 50. Implement in a phased manner. The 4th action areas. In professional fields and technology fields, and selected UHV transmission, VSC, HVDC, and DC power grid, smart grid, clean energy, power grid planning and operation as the top 5 technical fields. UHV DCAC, GIL, VSC, HVDC, DC grid, smart substation, smart transmission line, FACTS equipment, connected to grid compliance test, clean energy cluster control, grid interconnection planning, power system protection, power system stability control, in total 13 standard series. These 13 series are the top priority now for standard setting. We have to look at project requirement development and propose 13 standards researched on as a priority. There are 8 items: AC/DC, GIL, and there are 5 technical HV auto transformer. There are UHV DC equipment preventive test procedure, insulator specification for rigid gas insulated metal. There are also 3 standards for VSC HVDC transmission system, wave protection function requirement for DC grid. There are 8 items under smart grid, smart substation, transmission, FACTS equipment. There are 3 items under smart substation monitoring system technological specification, 3 items under transmission channel mobile inspection standard operational procedure. There are 2 items under design specification test start test standard. And there are 2 items under breaker failure protection. There are 2 items under technical specification for AC/DC coordination emergency control of UHV DC landing grid. And the above are the main content of global energy interconnection standard system research. GEIDCO hopes to work with members, standard organizations, governments, companies to jointly promote the formulation of standards and the development of GEI, so we can update the standards and work with all of you to improve the formulation and revision of these standards so that GEI can develop more rapidly and better. In drafting this report, we were well supported by State Grid, China Standardization Administration, China National Institute of Standardization. And here, on behalf of GEIDCO, I extend my sincere gratitude.